Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls alike. Welcome to Episode 2 of the Exploration Journals. Tonight we shall discover Sky Castle City, the grand planetary capital for Christian's home world. As we take a seat in the Consortium's academic wing of Void Translocation, we'll uncover its sacred architecture and the ancient mysteries that be the Void Discombobulator. As a dark secret plagues Christian's mind, a request of unimaginable proportion is on the horizon, and still lost inside of Neonara, facing dangerous bijou bugs and gigantic lake tentacles, will Christian make it out alive? So sit tight, gain comfort as we escape the void into the unknown and explore the unexplored. I hope nobody is listening, but if you are, don't tell a soul. Episode 2, Sky Castle. Sky Castle City, home of the free world, a capital ambassador for the planet's interstellar revolution, this floating city is undoubtedly a true masterpiece of the modern age. A grand testament to the elemental engineering of the developing world. Blissfully floating at a flavoursome 100,000 feet, the city held weightlessly by the elemental harnessing under the control of sound waves. A truly unique scientific implementation for a truly unique settlement. Off into the distance, Homeworld's twin planet of Saragus is in plain visible sight, so close you could reach out and almost touch it. And of course, its most discussed feature, the emerald green air defense barrier, which blankets the Type 3 civilization below. A real wonder from afar, if I do say so myself. Homeworld was a fairly new settlement for the people of Saragus and was pitched as a visionary development 300 years earlier, attracting farmers, labourers and engineers to name a few. A fresh start on a new world. On the outskirts of the city towered various docking points for aircraft of all sorts, from gyrocopters and zeppelins to private jets and floating air capsules. The determination and evolution despite the planetary constraints far surpassed the original trajectory of the world's development. The prestigious city honed forests and parks where families congregated, wined and dined to switch off and relax at weekends to escape their hectic weekly schedules. The Park of Callus, also known as Main Park, was known for its musical flair, with buskers and live orchestration. The outer parks and forests bear witness to some of the most incredible infinity waters ever seen, and the middlemost central part of the city dissected into 9 districts. The Trade District, the largest district of the bunch, populated by busy establishments from cheese and wine to banks and auctions. Every Sunday bears host to the Market of Abundance, which greets trusted sellers from various planets across the galaxy to trade obscure, rare items and artifacts. The Old Town, if you fancied a good old pint or to learn about the city's history, a day in the Old Town would most certainly quench your thirst. For history, of course. Crawling with historic buildings of cement, limestone and granite, you'll find a few hidden gems concealed within the narrow cobble alleys. Whether that be pubs or actual gems, I'll leave you to find out. In the uppermost northern part of the city, you'll find the Student Quarter. This well-renowned part of the city holds host to the best nightlife in all of Sky Castle. 2-for-1 cocktails every Friday night at the Sky Dweller. Or if you feel like you've got what it takes to write the world's next best novel, then head down to the Pen and Gyro pub for a cozy beer by the fire. The Keep. Deep within the keep lay a large hall supported with golden pillars named the Consort, where scholars, barristers and generals constantly argue and debate over who should do what or what should go where. You know the drill, the important affairs. Even deeper into the keep is where the King and Queen of Sky Castle reside, an underground palace of opulence carved into the precipice, surrounded by floating mountains and waterfalls, teasing hypnotic sunsets and mind-soothing pillows of clouds. The Cathedral, home to the devout folk and healing academics within the city, the cathedral is somewhat of a temple for prestigious events of philanthropy, meditative practice, and communal worship. However, rapid technological advancement, both moral and immoral, promote conflict and dispute between both the scientific and religious communities, so it's best they be kept apart. The Observatory, a district of science and evolution. Here you can visit the highest viewpoint within Sky Castle, ponder upon the world of Sargeras, and if you're lucky, see as far as the Kimler Space Tower, which hosts engineers and workers on an ever-ascending construct from the planet's floor to outer orbit. The plethora of interesting science museums and restaurants within the district may also be of fancy. The Sanctuary, quite possibly the prettiest district of the bunch, a maze of otherworldly plants and wildlife, populated with exotic birds, butterflies, and fascinating insects. The maze encapsulates shifts in vibrant tones with a blend of transcending trees and brush from various luscious planets within the galaxy. The financial district. If smart attire, extortionate restaurants, and aspirations of planetary wealth is your forte, then get yourself down to the financial district. Rows upon rows of grand banks and unique buildings presenting the most detailed brand logos you've ever seen, offset with 24-karat golds and the finest cloud-milk diamonds and futuristic holographics. The Barracks, home of the Hot Shots Pilot Club. The Barracks' unformidable air fleet resides within these quarters. Gyrocopters, flutter packs, gyro booster carts, jets, zeppelins, the list goes on. The paradoxical nature of the district is rather unjust. Within its walls resides talent and hustle, ranging from genius engineers to stuck-up astronauts, chaotic pilots to wheeler dealers and duckers and divers. And finally, the academic wing, home to Sky Castle's illustrious study of arts, science, language, and business, the most prestigious academic establishment in all of Homeworld. Only a scholarship or prodigal scouting of sort will see you in. All in all, a masterpiece of a city, renowned for its world-leading studies in translocation and planetary business. The heart and soul of Sky Castle welcomes tourists, students, and entrepreneurs from all across the galaxy. Chapter 2. Was it to dream? 3 hours had passed since the final Friday afternoon bell at the Sky Castle Consortium School of Academia. A rather simple-looking chap by the name of Mr. Cleve stood over the chair that Christian was sleeping in. Cleve, a void tutor at the school, attained an appearance of a somewhat geek. A youngish teacher of slim figure, Mr. Cleve possessed greyish-black hair, an exceptionally loose tie, rolled-up sleeves, and fairly modern-looking spectacles. Next to Christian sat a small girl with dark hair up to her shoulders, hypnotic brown eyes, and a cute, pointy nose. No one really knew who Nara was, nor did she have any other friends apart from Cleve and Christian. Her name, Nara, was somewhat of a nickname as her real identity was changed upon adoption at a very young age. You see, Nara's parents had disappeared during the week of her 3rd birthday, with a story proving to be a rather huge account throughout the city, still having attained no solvency 15 years later. Though too young to remember her parents nor the event, it never really troubled her. Mr. Cleve, sir, it's been 2 hours, asked Nara in a faint, caring tone. He's usually only asleep for one. Not to worry, I've been asked to increase stream time by an extra hour from here on out. Principal's orders. Julius has a rather important task on the horizon, Cleve mumbled calmingly. He'll be awake very soon, my dear. I do worry, Mr. Cleve. The rapid eye movements always freak me out. It's almost as if he's possessed by an alien, sir. Ah, young Nara. There now. You worry too much, dear. Julius is under the guidance of a professional, and in my opinion, the best professional to ever do it. Mr. Cleve smiled faintly, tilting the frame of his glasses. Allow me to let you into a little secret, my dear. Rapid eye movement is perfectly normal. It's how one knows one is in another world, whispered Cleve in a mysterious tone. You see, Nara dear, what we're performing here is an orchestrated simulation session. Kind of. Academic training, if you will. For the day will arrive, Nara dear, when Christian must endeavour into the void for real, under unfamiliar company. I'm not always going to be here to guide him. You see, the dream feels all so real to him now. All senses in practice, visuals, feelings, and emotions. All strained through the current void simulation I'm running. If anything dire may occur, and I so feel it's getting too much in there, with a flick of a switch I can simply kick him out of the void, and he shall wake up. However, I reiterate, this shall not always be the case. These are the crucial times in his development where young Christian needs be tested. Nara gripped Christian's hand ever so slightly tighter. You see, dear Nara, I have been directed by Principal Troggenheim himself to increase the duration and difficulty of Christian's void simulations, for reasons much greater than I can discuss with you, I'm afraid. All I'll say is that there's word of a request of high importance in the form of a letter about to come through to Christian's way, a request of rather large proportion, a request a young naive student with no real parental guidance could refuse. You see, Nara, I don't know if you've heard, and it's probably not my place to speak, though I do worry. Over the past 6 months, Christian's mother has fallen progressively ill, an illness I believe to be terminal and unrealistically curable on a working citizen's wage. Christian has only spoken of this to me once in privacy. Rather recently, actually. I was hoping you'd noticed yourself. Nara began to open her mouth in reply. Well, oh dear Nara, it does pain him deeply. I can see it in his smile. After everything that's going on, I'm honestly not sure if he's going to be ready. If it was up to me, I'd tell Jared Jet to stick his proposition where the sun doesn't Nara interrupted. Yes, dear. I've known of this too. Well, I've had my reasons. Christian hasn't told me, but I see his mother every time I visit their home. Her bubbly presence and contagious aura seem to diminish each time. She's no longer the strong, independent lady she used to be. I've been debating if I should talk to him with regards to the matter, but it's my duty as a caring friend to understand that with our upcoming exams, I wouldn't want to plague his mind. I know how distracting and detrimental it can be through experiences of my own. I'm glad you told me though, Mr. Glebe. If anyone needs to be there for him, it's us. It's disgusting how the governments of Sky Castle can allow people to grow sick like that. One's life should never have a price tag. She wound in disgust. Nara, my dear. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in, I'm afraid. An economistic society with no morals. I fear for the world in such times, dear Nara. I fear for the health of future generations as we move into the interstellar age with the rest of the galaxy. And to think about artificial intelligence... Oh, I don't even want to conceive such thoughts. Let's take one day each step at a time. I do agree with you, Mr. Glebe. One moment at a time. Nara lightly brushes through the pages of her journal while her other hand is holding Christian's. Sir, I've actually been writing poems in my spare time. Poems in which reflect my feelings in such testing times. I have a beautiful-ish poem on the topic which I wrote myself. Would you like to hear it, sir? Oh yes, dear Nara, of course I would. Okay. As you begin to embark on the next season of uncertainty, lean into all the possibilities within eternity. So as the shore runs away, allow new tides to draw you ever closer to wonder and mystery, for there is no growth and beauty without pain and struggle. Mr. Glebe paused for a short second and glanced at Nara. You never fail to spark positivity into my lessons, do you, Nara? Nor fail to be such an inspiration. I wish all of our students could take a leaf from your book. Truly, a wonderful student and human being. I know wholeheartedly that regardless of whatever path you take in life, whether it be void exploration or writing poems, you're going to be successful. Thank you, dear. Glebe wiped a faint tear from beneath his spectacles, proceeding with the task at hand. Okay, Nara. So, remember, the void discombobulator. It was first conceptualized in... Nara, write this down, please. Good. Okay, so, the void discombobulator, also known as the void disk, a time warp device first conceptualized on planet Earth in the early 20th century, through harnessing the power of quantum entanglement, precise instruction, and correct use. The void disk allows intelligent beings to translocate instantaneously from world to world, galaxy to galaxy, dimension to dimension. Now, as for Christian's part in all of this, His prodigal tendencies and natural gifts allow his mind to somehow interfere with the flux location capacitor, which drives the void disk. You see, Nara, Christian, he has this incredible, unexplainable connection with the universe. Through harnessing the power of brain waves, he has an artificial influence of some sort on magnetic waves, pulses of light, atoms, basically anything lord within the fundamental fabric of the universe. It's rather unconceivable if you ask me, and a very dangerous tool if used for the wrong reasons. The way in which we teach our students, dear, as you know, derives from observational astronomy. The academic consort work very closely with the astronomers working in the castle's observatory. From their observations, we receive a database of coordinates, which are divided into different categories. Planets within the Goldilocks zone, which pertain to inhabit life depending on the age and timeline of said planet. Planets rich in rare natural resources we can harness and benefit from, and planets with a rich biosignature, generally indicating undiscovered civilizations. Of course, the undiscovered civilizations are rare, quite rare in fact that we believe to have located all known civilizations within our galaxy, although it's certainly within the realms of possibility that the odd one can pop up from time to time. And it's not rare that some small civilizations live in peace and harmony in worlds out of our interest. So small we'll most likely never discover them. It's a big world out there, Nara. Unimaginably big. I digress. Anyway, these coordinates are shortlisted into categories of importance. There are so many categories it's hard to go through them all right now. However, the ones we focus on for training are early developed simulated worlds. These worlds are marked with a low danger threshold and with a high resource rate, which enables students to discover and learn about the elements while they're inside the void with minimal risk to their mental capacity. Though, these coordinates can and are used in real time by professionals and mining ventures to translocate worlds which scientists believe to be rich in particular resources. The mining companies pay the observatory big money for the coordinates of worlds believed to be rich in gold, diamonds, rocket fuel, and even sometimes intelligent life, for example. I won't go into the dark side of the mining ventures with detail. However, when I mention Type 1 civilizations and life, I'm sure you can guess why they wish to venture to those planets. Slavery. Nara grasps at Mr. Cleve in total shock. Yes, Nara, the sad reality is that there's a dark side to the world of translocation. It's not all scientific wonder and progress. Oftentimes have pirate courts within the galaxy leverage coordinates of pre-developed civilizations in order to control them as planetary slaves, mainly for the mass development projects of building new worlds. It's really quite shameful. I'm sorry to break this to you, Nara, but I feel it a necessity that everybody should be aware of such acts of terror, so you won't lead your life as an explorer, totally oblivious to what goes on. It'd be quite a setback to pursue a career in void translocation without an understanding of both sides of the spectrum. Ah, right on cue. Christian's neurons are fluttering. I can tell he's on the path to the void disk. Allow us to monitor his progress. Nara, shall we? Chapter 3. Escape from Neonara. "24 hours had passed since Christian entered Neonara. Only 90 minutes or so had gone by in the current dimension. With last night's events come to pass, Christian still had a task to complete. Find intelligent life and return with information on any rare natural resources available within the world. Find the void disk using the compass nav and make it back to Mr. Klebe. Entry 506. It was a strange, small, brown creature. Red of chest, nose of ivory. Peck, peck, peck was the exasperating noise which reverberated from the bark it was prodding at, interrupting my sleep. At first I whistled in an attempt to scare the blasted thing away, though the sound merely spurred on the pecking even more so. On my second attempt, I bellowed a relatively loud grrr, and it flew away. Aha, that did the trick. Minutes later, the annoying little beast returned with two smaller little beasts, probably its children or menacing friends. Either way, I felt at this point they had it in for me, just attempting to purposely keep me awake. Little rascals. To my elated surprise, the climate much cooler than the eve before. Less sticky, less panic, and less aggravated bijou bugs. Although that's how it was currently, one could never be so certain of such a thing as peace on an unfamiliar world. One's awareness must always be in overdrive. Mr. Cleve taught me that. Carefully, I rolled up my thermo blanket 300, collected my water canister and other items of use laying around the rather large mushroom stem I slept on. My attire still somewhat wet from being at the bottom of the lake, more damp than wet, but regardless, fairly uncomfortable. As I attempted to wring out the dampness in my socks, I thought about the lines my father used to preach. Every cloud has a silver lining. Remember that, Christian. Strangely enough, as I reminisced on such words, a comforting clear blue sky became increasingly visible from the tree line, as if my old man was orchestrating the weather himself through some sort of dimensional gateway. He could see me, hear me, understand my thoughts and feelings, alter the environment around me. Well, I was most certainly overthinking things. All these years without my father had troubled me. However, during times of loneliness and doubt, I would always have these specific memories of him, just like now. So I knew that whenever teasing thoughts interfered with my mind, I would often just throw them to the side as overthinking. Anyway, as the morning ticked by, I deemed it be a sensible idea to get into the sunlight and dry off, relieving myself of this dampening discomfort. As I began my descent down the uneven, slippery mushroom growth, I couldn't help but clock onto the fact that Neonara wasn't just incredibly beautiful come nightfall. The dark, luscious paradise morphed into a serene kingdom of glittering river water and gorgeous floating plants come daylight. The forest pulsated with a mesmerizing aura of shiny yellow and gold with sparkling dust particles. It was extremely beautiful. Following my cautious descent toward the forest floor, I couldn't help but notice a mysterious tune floating through the air, flowing into my ears and elevating my spirit. As the sound sparked my interests and appetized my senses, my feet took on a personality of their own. Uncontrollably, I started to wander toward the whistling tune from behind the brush, while still cautious of stepping on any mushrooms and insects. Now under the control of the hypnotizing tune, I was still fully aware of my surroundings. However, my body continued to gravitate closer and closer toward the mystical notes. As the beautiful melody rose increasingly louder, I faintly brushed apart a small gap within the bush with careful fingers, peeping my curious eyes through. To my ever-growing surprise, I could see a girl sitting there by the river, minding her own peace, blowing into a strange instrument of sort, an instrument similar to an ocarina from the real world. As her fingers coordinated the notes with each breath, it was rather clear the girl was a native due to her indigenous light blue shimmering skin, which held markings of bright purple and turquoise swirls. From her head, luscious dark hair drooped down to arm's length, posing a slender natural figure. Attracted to the ethereal presence of both girl and song, I rustled the branches in an attempt to gain her attention. However, the harmony smothered my call. Then, I decided to throw a small juicy sack in her direction. The sack resembled a piece of fruit filled with a sticky yellow substance appearing to have fallen from the shroom trees. With an accurate swing of the arm, I nailed the riverbed beside her feet. With a sporadic shock, she dropped the ocarina into the river. The expression on her face was as if she had just seen a ghost while attempting to dodge the flames of a fire-breathing dragon. Seeing the instrument now drifting away, a feeling of great responsibility washed over me to chase it down river. I mean, for what it was worth, it was kind of my fault. Without a moment's hesitance, I dived into the river, plodding and paddling. I managed to claw the instrument with the tips of my fingers rather insecurely, but now I was uncontrollably flowing down the river, gradually picking up pace, all the while heading into a deceptively small drop that morphed into a fast-flowing waterfall. Ever so increasingly, the powerful current pulled my body downstream. There wasn't much I could do against the strength of the water. Suddenly, by the shore, I heard a rally call. It was the girl. Spreading her arms in alignment with her body, she took on hydrodynamic form, propelling herself skyward from off of a rock and into the gushing river water. Like a majestic dolphin or a super Olympic mermaid, the speed of her swim was incredible. Struggling to pronounce what she meant, she gifted her hand to me, alerting me to hold on. Though her skin felt rubbery and slippery, I struggled to grasp a tight grip. Now linked with fingers and palms, we both managed to swim to more stable waters. Finally, we reached the shore. Deprived of breath and energy, I lay backward on the smooth pebbles, facing the sky for a few moments to recuperate. "Stupid human," the girl muttered. "Water for the fishes." A vaguely ironic laugh left my mouth as I handed the ocarina to her. As I began to regain breath, I sat up directly facing her. She was directly facing me with legs crossed. I was in love. This girl had just potentially saved my life. With a magnetic look and a faint smile, she took the ocarina from my hands and began to play something quite bliss. I gazed into her eyes as she played, and the connection was concrete. Then, a light, dozy feeling began to wash over me. My headspace started to blank. The weight of my eyes increased. Was I falling asleep? Was I under the spell of a hypnotic trance? I couldn't control my eyes as I fell into a dreamlike state. Surely the instrument's tune couldn't release a sedative effect. What was happening to me? Was it even an instrument? Was the girl even real? I feel like I'm drowsy, sleepy. Chapter 3. Jet needs you. Christian! I think he's starting to wake up, Mr. Klebe. Motor reflex is good. Eye monitor in check. Welcome back, Christian, Klebe whispered in a calming tone, flickering his eyes profusely in reaction to the blinding light of the torch beaming down his peripheral. Christian began to murmur. How long have I been out for, sir? He said. 2 hours, Christian. Although for you, it would have been almost 2 days. How are you feeling? Christian noticed his left hand clenched firmly with both of Nara's hands, proceeding to cradle her clasp with his own, sending a tired-eyed smile. I'm okay, sir. The void disk, sir. It... Don't worry, Christian. This time I had to make sure the void disk was concealed as an unknown object, and not as the original electronic ring familiar with our academia. Christian, you must understand that in actuality, when void disks are functional in real-life situations such as your upcoming task... never mind. Christian, the bottom line is that we have to mimic the device into a personal item of the translocation subject, so only they will know that the device is the device. We also introduce mimicking of void devices to ensure your own safety. The void disk cannot be revealed to others freely. This concept you must come to learn. Now, I noticed 2 drastic spikes in adrenaline. I don't know what went on in there, or what you saw, so I'm hoping you entailed the events within the pages of your exploration journal. Yes, Mr. Klebe. Yes, I did. On my first night, I encountered a gigantic... Now, Christian, Klebe interrupted. Save your experiences. I have a never-ending mound of work I need to be getting through for the rest of the evening. I shall review your data in correlation with your neurological activity, In due time. You're doing extremely well. All I will ask of you is this. Was the pre-planning we plotted enforced correctly? Was you able to draft a world rich in bioluminescence? Yes, sir. The world was rich in glowing mushrooms and wildlife. It was mesmerizing. Very well. Please try to rest now, at least for the next week. You'll need to regain your energy, young Christian. Nara, please make sure Christian gets home safely. He'll surely be facing fatigue for the next couple of hours, so walking him back to accommodation would be very helpful of you, Cleve whispered. Nara nodded as she linked arms with Christian. Steadily they traipsed toward the classroom exit. Just before they reached the door, Cleve rustled what was a sealed envelope, titled, "For the attention of Christian Alexander." Christian, before you leave, I have a letter for you. This letter is from Principal Troggenheim. Please, do as I say, and only read this when you're fully rested. Okay. What's it about? Christian asked curiously. I have no idea, son. I have no idea. Days went by before Christian began to feel ashamed of himself. Sitting upon the windowsill of his dormitory was the letter from Principal Troggenheim. Slightly nervous, Christian peeled the seams of the seal with his fingers, addressing a single page of text. Dear Christian, I hope this letter finds you well. My name, Jared Jett of the Merino Corp. I'm writing this letter to you today in hopes that you will accept my request of a meeting with you. A meeting to which shall hold conversations of an exciting new opportunity, not only an opportunity, but a life-changing grand venture into the unknown. Exploration of distant worlds. You'll get to discover new civilizations. And the money. Oh, the money. Let's just say you'll never run into financial issues ever again. But listen carefully, Christian. This is only a one-time offer, and when the ship has sailed, you'll never hear from Merino Corp again. So do listen carefully. Remember, Christian, this is a lifetime opportunity of great magnitude, so I recommend you grasp it with open arms. You can find me in Sky Castle Consortium's academic wing this coming Friday. I have booked out room 14A at 12 p.m. I await your presence. Kind regards, Jared J. Jett. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Exploration Journals. Join us next Saturday for episode 3, where we will find out if Christian will accept Jared Jett's proposition of a grand venture and riches beyond belief. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified on the release of new episodes. And of course, like and share with friends and family, and leave a comment with your thoughts. This is AC Xander, and I shall see you next time on the Exploration Journals.